Hey guys, Jason Station here, and today I have a full deck guide for you guys for the DRAVEN SION discard midrange deck. This has been a staple within the meta since the expansion pretty much for Vandal City, and has remained one of the most top played and top win rate decks of this season. So without further ado, let's jump into the deck guide, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe. This channel helps me out, helps the algorithm. Without further ado, let's jump into the video, shall we? Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the deck list itself. This is a DRAVEN Silent mid-range deck, so you'll see a lot of the cards that kind of fall into it. We have a couple 1-drops with the biggest fan, the Zonite Urchins, and some Reborn Grenadiers, and then we have a lot of the discard synergistic, sort of like mid-range beef cards, right? We have the Grave Position, we have the Fallen Riders, Boon Baboon, Sump Dredger, Aloof, and of course the Lost Soul deck card. We have some Poro Cannons just as a little bit of an elusive, either as a blocker against maybe like the Bannerwood decks or the Nami decks, things like that. And we have a suite of removal tools. Also, I guess, burn cards, such as Mystic Shot, Get Excited. And these will help provide a little bit of that late game over the top that you kind of really need with this deck. We also, in the tech slots, we have 1 copy of Whirling Death and 2 copies of Survival Skills. Survival Skills being really strong in any sort of board-based aggro deck. If you can pull this off the DRAVEN, often getting in a free value trade when your opponent might not be expecting it, that can be really crucial in helping you swing tempo early on so you can finish the game with some burn. Whirling Death also fills a very similar purpose, but this card is especially good in the mirror when we can Whirling Death their Scion or the unit summon off of Scion and stop a lot of damage from coming into our face as well. But still a very similar list. Some of these proportions seem a little bit might be a little bit different than what you might be used to. I think one place that could be maybe up to 1 is the Reborn Grenadier card. I think this card is super strong in at least the same matchups that a card like Survival Skills is strong. Just being able to get that burst blocker out to make a good value trade for free, and then being able to push some more damage in the early game can be very valuable. Now let's talk a little bit about Scion itself for those of you who might be a little bit new to this card. So the way that Scion levels up is that you need to have discarded or summoned a total of 35 power from your deck or from your hand. And Scion itself, when it's leveled up, it says Overwhelm, Last Breath, Summon, Scion Returned. And what this does is it rallies and then summons a 10-4 Overwhelm with Ephemeral. So Scion is a very strong finisher, which the opponent already has hard time killing, because if they kill it, then you get to rally and attack again, or even if they block it, you can kill it yourself with a card like Get Excited and make that rally itself. So very hard unit for the opponent to deal with unless they have a direct answer, and a very hard unit to even block with, and it's already pushing 10 overwhelm damage itself. We'll also talk a little bit about some of these cards that go into the package, because I think you don't realize how strong some of these cards are, or at least how efficient some of these cards are at leveling Scion. I think the first card that kind of surprises me was Reborn Grenadier. So this is a really good card at leveling up Scion. When you discard it, it counts for 3 power, and then when it gets summoned, it counts for 6 power. So being able to discard this with like a spinning axe already just counts for 6 power out of Sion's level up. Very similar thing for Fallen Rider. When you discard it, you discard 3 power, and then when you play a 4/2, it's an additional 4 power. You need a lot of cards that do synergize well with these discard outlets, and these are very core tools within your arsenal, such as the DRAVEN, the Rummage, and the Get Excited. And finally, we do have probably the most overpowered card in this deck, or even in the Noxus region itself, being Lost Soul. Not only is this a very good way to level up Scion, maybe even almost the most necessary card consistently do so by turn 7, but it just provides you with so much value in the mid game, and provides you just a 4/3 challenger is so insane for what it does for the deck, as well as what it does for the board control and game plan of this deck. With that in mind, let's talk about the mulligan, because I think there is a little bit of a nuance to this mulligan when you're first starting off. I think when you're thinking about the perfect hand that you want, there's three main components to it, that being the 1-drop, the DRAVEN, and the Lost Soul. The 1-drop, you have two options. You have Zonite Urchin, and then you have DRAVEN's Biggest Fan. DRAVEN's Biggest Fan, of course, is key to ensure that we have DRAVEN on turn 3, because that's the strongest thing that we can do, and then the Axe is synergized very, very well with the rest of our deck. Now, there are going to be situations where you already have DRAVEN in hand, and then you also have DRAVEN's Biggest Fan in hand. In this case, you can kick the DRAVEN and then play DRAVEN's Biggest Fan on turn 1. Or if you have a Zonite Urchin in hand with the DRAVEN and the Biggest Fan, then you can consider kicking the Biggest Fan and playing Zonite Urchin on turn 1 instead. But either situation, we want to ensure that we do have options of getting DRAVEN in hand on turn 1. And then from there, once you have the core hand part down, you have some of the more situational cards. These are a little bit more grouped than just the ones shown on screen. So for example, this Fallen Rider just represents other discard outlets in general. If you have a card like Fallen Rider, or if you have a card like Grave Physician, one requires a discard outlet and one requires a card to be discarded. When thinking about what makes a good hand and when you need to play things on curve, you often don't want to be discarding real cards if you don't have to, and so you should be striking a good balance between cards that need to be discarded as well as cards that discard other cards. So in this case, I wouldn't keep a card like Fallen Rider if I don't have a Zonite Urchin, for example, to discard it. However, in certain matchups, this Fearsome keyword can be very, very powerful if I'm attacking on evens, so maybe keeping Fallen Rider is a consideration of itself, even if I'm lacking a Zonite Urchin or a Portal Cannon, for example. Survival Skills is also one of those cards that is just so situationally strong. But in this case, I think it's almost necessary to have DRAVEN before you can keep a card like Survival Skills, just because DRAVEN is such a really good target for Survival Skills, because you can help progress the DRAVEN level up, but also just the stat line of DRAVEN helps to trade into pretty much anything that you really want. And of course, there are a few cards like Mystic Shot, Get Excited. While these are very strong tools to go to face if we can push a lot of early damage early on, in some particular matchups there will be very key units that we need to remove, and these are our only options to remove them outside of combat. So if the other deck is playing like a Bandle City Mayor, or if they're playing the Twisted Catalyzer from the Darkness deck, then having a Mystic Shot to deal with that cleanly without giving them much value is going to be very situational in slowing down our opponent's game plan, and so that we can mid-range them out later on. Finally, with everything in mind, let's talk a little bit about the matchup tables. These are just going to be some of the most popular decks that are on ladder at the moment, and we'll talk through a few of them one by one. I think Ziggs Poppy, this is the Noxus aggro deck with the Decimates. This one's a little bit new to the ladder scene, but I think this is the deck that DRAVEN SION crushes the most. Out of the different Poppy decks, this one just doesn't have that protection tools for their units, and so when they play a Ziggs, when they play a Poppy, what you see is what you really get. So you can always get excited the Poppy, you can have the challengers, the guaranteed kills on units, you can just steamroll them, you have the survival skills, you have the Reborn Grenadier. If you can just trade very well on board, go wider than them, then their burn is not going to be as fast enough as you have burn of your own. So this is probably one of the best matchups for DRAVEN SION. Going to our next one, we have the Twisted Fate Gangplank. This is the Bandle City one, dubbed Ping City, if you will. I think that this one is quite close, actually. Some of the factors that come into play is the fact that we can't really deal with a leveled up Gangplank very well, but for our early game, we do have a good way to match their tempo. We have some removal. We do run Aloof Travelers. Aloof Travelers is actually going to be probably one of the strongest cards within this matchup, because if we can discard their Gangplank before we play it, then suddenly their big late game threat has been diminished. In addition, we hit key cards such as their double up, and so if we can discard their Gangplank, we can discard their biggest burn cards, then we don't have as much to be afraid of. There are going to be some cases where you don't draw the Aloof Travelers and then get their late game off, which will favor the opponent, or in some cases they can go really wide with Mirai Wardens or a ton of 1-drops, and sometimes our hand might just be bricked out and can't match that tempo. But in overall case, we should be slightly favored into this one, given the fact that we do have the strategies to counteract their early game aggression, as well as their late game kind of big ticket items. Now, I think where DRAVEN SION struggles the most is against these Nami decks, most considerably the Nami Zoe deck. If the Nami deck has leveled Nami on 4 with the Double Trouble on 3, then I think that's almost always an auto lose as long as the Nami players play very well. We do have to apply a lot of consistent early game pressure, but sometimes that's just not enough for a turn 5 buff Sparklefly. So this matchup is quite difficult for the DRAVEN SION deck and is probably one of the biggest counters to this deck at the moment. Next we do have the Poppy Rally decks. These are a little bit closer. I might give this a 50-50. It might swing either way depending on the matchup, who's playing it, etc., the draws. But given that we are both board-based decks, we have the challengers and the Lost Souls that can deal really well with their champions or their small elusive threats, and we do have the survival skills. This matchup can swing either way really quickly. And so this one's a little bit closer than I can't really see this going either way too much. I think an honorable mention is the Darkness deck that has been seeing a lot of popularity in ladder recently, which I think that this deck can struggle with a little bit. Just the fact that if we don't remove the Twisted Catalyzer, suddenly their Darkness becomes a really good removal option against us. And so it's very critical that we can try to not let them scale their Darkness very quickly, but we still just don't have very many good ways of stopping it. If you don't draw your Mystic Shots, they get their Catalyzers off. They have the good stall in the early game. They also do run the Aloof Travelers if they discard Scion. If they, get a Ruination, if they just have like the Whales, the setups, it's very hard to stop such a controlly deck. So I've had a little bit of trouble against that matchup as well as of late, but overall that's just a quick summary of some of the matchups that you can expect on ladder. And finally, if you guys want to see this deck out in action, I do have some games that I want to showcase for you guys. Just to see how they line up in different matchups. You'll see some of the good tempo starts, you'll see some of the more mid-range strategies, and you'll see just everything kind of come into play. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck guide portion of this video. Again, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more daily content on this channel. I think by this video, it's going to be a week of consistent uploads, and I'm very excited to see what comes in the near future. So stay tuned, stay excited, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Off to a good start. He didn't have a blocker here. We don't have like a Mystic Shot for his Scion, which we could have, I guess, played like a 4-0 down at some moment. This is fine. Yeah, like if we had a way of killing this Mare, feel a lot better. And just kill the Mare with the Challenger though. Wow. He runs this card? Interesting.
Time for the money makers.
The Mayor's #1 priority. Oh, he's the PNZ version. That makes a lot more sense. I just saw this deck and I saw Tree and Noxus. So you could have Get Excited, I guess, for my DRAVEN. Maybe that was wrong then. If he's not a tree deck, then I should be fine, I think. Sure. Doesn't block any of these, which is quite interesting. Just means he has a Poppy next turn and wants a board. We have Whirling for Poppy. Oh, we don't have Whirling. That was, oh, I see. Wow, that's super fast. It's quite impressive, honestly. I have 4 blockers for his 4 units. Okay. We'll reset DRAVEN, Physician. He only deals 5 damage here. It's totally fine. We have Aloof for his next turn, if he has another Yordle in arms. Would have made me want to kill the Banal Commando instead. That was a really cool setup. He kind of like rolled off the nuts there. These blocks don't matter at all. I'm gonna take 6, I guess.
Death is transient as long as the body holds blood. Time for the main event.
I'll get rid of the Banal Commando here. We'd have Portal Cannon stop elusives if he has like a second Yordle on arms, but I'll just discard with Aloof. Play Scion on my next attack turn instead.
Watch and learn.
I could even discard a Scion here. I'm not even sure this deck runs Aloof. Just to push like 2 damage. Could be worth. I think just in case there's an Aloof in this deck, I'm not gonna just like Portal Cannon my Scion and just like Portal Cannon Axe afterwards. I'm lucky he didn't have Poppy. Poppy would have been quite disastrous. Still ahead. Even though he had a somewhat ridiculous turn. It's totally fine. Okay. Even if we open Yordle arms, I can still play this Scion. If he develops in this turn, I can play Aloof and discard his Yordle arms. Because if he Yordle arms now, I'm like, I don't really care. I can even play Scion and trade into it. Not that I would, just because my swing with Scion would be really bad. So I'm just gonna play Scion afterward. On my next turn. Bingo. Yeah, it's so clear he has a Yordle in arms. So let's say goodbye to it real quick.
I dropped everything.
Third Yordle in arms? Wow, okay. Acceptable. We'll probably just survival skills this turn. There's no trade you can get, unfortunately. Oh, now I can trade into this one, so that's really good. Getting a trade here is like really very important. I'll probably just trade this guy, honestly. Not that it makes a huge difference. These blocks again don't matter. And this Scion should just be the game. The only thing I can block this is a Lulu. I feel like I'm safe to do this. Especially when I have a Challenger and a Fearsome. Whirling for next turn. He's down all of his Yordle arms. I have... Okay, I have the Roar plus the Whirl. If he didn't have a third Yordle arms there, I think he just loses on the spot. Copy Ziggs. I want to say we're fine into this one, just because we can match their board state and they have no buffs. So let's match their board state. It's kind of interesting. I can just play Fallen Rider as a 3-2 or a 3-1, but as a 4-2 you can just block Ziggs. So I don't get the Lost Soul discard, but I get a 4-2 Fearsome. It's kind of interesting. I'm just gonna do this here, just because I think the blocker for Ziggs is just so good. And there's our turn 3 discard for Lost Souls. Okay, we hit a Sum Treasure anyway. These cards just help level Scion so quickly, it's insane. Oh, he can't even block. Nice, so we get to push 4 damage here too. And then we have Sum Treasure, Lost Souls, and then Twin Blade, and then we should just be fine. We don't get to play this though, which is kind of awkward. Having DRAVEN would be just very good. Yeah, his Ziggs is just so bad here. He has no attack. And then just Twin Blade his Ziggs. Oh, he's still forcing it. Yeah, this game's like pretty over. I honestly think that's better than the Twin Blade. I like going wide. I like getting DRAVEN down. I can play this and see what he does. I can attack to deal 4. Playing this is always better than just attacking unless it's like a 3-1. This attack is fine, just to see what he does. In worst case scenario, just aloof like a Decimate. I feel like I'm so far ahead that I can be a little bit more react to what he does. If he goes wide, I can match his wide. And just kill Poppy instead. I know he can't protect Poppy, so I can just do that next turn, huh? This turn I'll just play Twin Blade. I could even just trade into the Poppy. I don't really need to respect it. Yeah, that's fine. He like attacks enemy and I trade. Go ahead, man. And then this Twin Blade kills this next turn. I have mana to rummage. I could also just get excited instead.
Now we're cooking.
Oh. Alright, we'll just take the turn to push some damage then.
Watch and learn.
Yeah, he's just dead to burn now. Yep. Very, very, very straightforward game.
Damn, I'm good.
Oh hey, it's Seku. Beautiful.
Time for the main event.
The new version is a little scary just because of the presence of elusives. We can't deal with them unless we have like a mystic shot or something. This is quite annoying.
Draven out. Death is transient as long as the body holds blood.
Yeah, our Draven is just gonna get eaten by this if we don't find a mystic. Survival is insane.
For the main event.
Okay, we just need to stabilize here. If we get rid of the challenger, then a lot of our worries kind of disappear. Lulu is the scariest thing here. Find second Draven or like a whirling death, we just like kind of win on the spot. Lulu into Poppy though would be an issue. I get 2 axes, so I can get a Grenadier plus survival skills out, but then at that point his board's going to be a little bit too big. Oof. A little scary. So if he has Poppy, we're in a really awkward spot. If he doesn't, then I'm still kind of chilling. Lost Soul's perfect draw. Oh, really? Okay. Acceptable. Do I care? I'm happy taking this. If he rallies, then I gotta abuse the axe things. Otherwise, I just have Revenant coming down next turn. Oh, and the Whirling Death. Holy crap. Such a big punish if he rallies and attacks here. Smart man. Oh, but the Lulu levels, huh? That's really annoying. Sure. Interesting. What's gonna happen here? I do have the survival whirling. Let's see what he does. And then I can go in for another swing. Like, this turn to level Draven could be pretty sick. Okay. Oh, I see, but the survival goes here, huh? That's still fine. Yeah, this is really good for me. I think buffing Draven's fine here.
Time for the moneymaker.
I'm gonna get to kill Lulu. It will take another 5. He has a rally. but not too worried. We can't like crack back at this though. It's kind of awkward. I might need a whirling to kill this Lulu if he goes in for a non-sharp sight like a twin here. Okay, I'm happy with this outcome, relatively speaking. Oh, there's survival. I can't buff the... This one's slightly awkward. I don't want to play Fallen either. Top, yeah. Really? Oh, interesting. Wow, okay, well played. Damn. Couldn't quite get there. Ghost kind of threw us off. This player. Ban, Lost Soul, Aloof. Seems pretty good. Maybe we're supposed to like fish for like a mystic shot just so that we have a way of killing their... their catalyzer. Beautiful. I'm not gonna trade this, I don't think. I could trade it. And then he plays Catalyzer. And then I played Draven and I can axe the Reborn Grenadier. That's okay. Then I can't axe Lost Soul. Maybe that's wrong. Probably should have just held it. Yeah. I'm gonna get Punisher slightly. Because now I can't discard this Lost Soul. And that lets him play Veigar. I should have thought about this a little bit more. Yeah, this was wrong. The more I thought about it, the less I liked it. Just because we didn't have a discard outlet for Draven. I might even still go for this, just to get the damage in. Okay. I mean, my turn's slightly awkward. I do not like that. Wow, what an insane opener. How come they always draw this card and I just don't have burn? It's so weird and so sad. Man. It's so sad, dude. And he's gonna get another proc here. It's gonna deal. I just want to concede this round.
We made it. Yay. But our stuff didn't.
It's not even good. Don't play a Veigar, please. Nice. Oh, he's still gonna play Veigar. Never mind. Darkness are just 4. Ugh. Oh, no Veigar, thank fuck. You have to get excited now to kill this, at least. Probably should be mulling more aggressively for mystic shots and stuff in this matchup. It's kind of interesting. Just no moment to play Draven, because I need to play Twin Blade Revenant this turn, or at least have the option to. Halfling toss, alright. Well, you pass that 6 mana, good sir. We did 2 sapling tosses. It's kind of funny. Alright. Sort of interesting just trading for this 4-3. He drags these 2. I have to kill this. Jesus. Just gotta go for the value trade and have another unit on board. He has Val Feast or Pokey Stick. It's gonna suck a little bit. He does not, which is good news. Because now I have Get Excited. Yep. Finally a moment to play Draven. We're gonna play Silent next turn, but we should have looped now to see if we get rid of a mini-morph. Senna. No mini-morph is good information. Veigar. I have Lost Souls for my Silent next turn. Veigar doesn't level. Okay. He is at 20 health. Maybe I'm just supposed to discard this Lost Souls again, just to snipe off this Veigar. I'd really prefer if this Veigar doesn't level. So this Silent's not really doing that much, is it? Let's just kill Veigar. If we kill Veigar, we shouldn't really be in trouble. Slowly trying to outgrind him.
The elements bind the living and the dead.
The damage. Stress defense. No, okay. Deal 6 to my face. I'm gonna die to another one.
Life is cyclical.
But can't really do anything about that.
Wait up!
Can't even kill this. Sure. It's annoying. Still needs another Xtali or a Veigar. Don't beat either of them. Just not have either of them. Our health total shouldn't matter here. Like we can go down to whatever this is. And then we try to close the game with SION. Sure. Can't save Draven, can we? Well, we can. Is it worth? Or just kill Ixtali by buffing this, but then we don't get a discard trigger. I think we want this to die this turn.
Time for the moneymakers.
Something like this. Uses not to attack. Still lose to Viego or Ixtali. Again, there's no playing around that, so you just have to attack and kind of pray. Ooh, not what I would like to see. It's not either of those.
Let us take a peek at life beneath the waves. Persistence is key.
Alright. It's kind of annoying. Okay. Not dead on board yet. Rolling with Sion's not going to close the game just yet either. So we need to find another Sion or more burn. Rummage, not quite. I'll have to wait on the rummage until we get this twin blade down. Again, either like a Senna or a Viego just ends it. Oh, there's so many more cards. Ixtali. Viegar, Senna, Rekindler even. This is like the Allen versus Yamato match. It's kind of crazy. Not really what he wants to hit. Interesting pass. Interesting end round. Not quite sure what he's playing around. Or not quite sure what his hand could be if that's the play he's been making. Oh, he can just darkness my Scion. I didn't really quite think about that. Maybe I was supposed to try to go for lethal somehow. Not that I could. Okay. But we're almost there. None of those cards are good. Vile Feast would just kind of wreck us here. What could his hand be? Whale? That's annoying.
God axes need victims.
Okay. We're kind of running out of time here. I want to play this next turn, right? We can kill Viegar. We can still kill Viegar.
I will shape death.
No, dude. Damn. Exactly 6 too. Oh, had Big Stolly. We kill Viegar, we kill Rekindler.